Hello, beautiful creators. Rebecca here, your Vibe Mentor, bringing you another video on how to raise your vibration so you can live your best life. We are dealing with winter lighting here. It's on calls all day, so bear with me on the lighting. This is December in Wisconsin. So wanted to chat with you today about a form of or an aspect of the victim triangle. And I did another video on the victim triangle. So if you're interested in learning more about that and how to get out of it, this video will be helpful for you. But otherwise, the most recent trend that I'm seeing in a lot of the calls that I'm having with my coaching clients is sort of a sufferer's identity. And the addiction to struggle and the belief that life has to be hard. And what's challenging is this is part of our programming. This has been the way it's been for many, many generations before us, as well as quite possibly what we've experienced for the first majority of our life. And when the brain sees that pattern, it begins to project the past onto the future. And so the brain's job is to keep you safe and to anticipate what's going to come. And so when it says, okay, life has always been hard, we've always had to struggle, it says prepare because it's going to be hard and we're always going to have to struggle. And so that belief then becomes a perpetuating reality. And it's unfortunate that that has been our programming and that our parents and our parents and our parents' parents have had to live through that. But we are now in a place where that does not have to be the dominant reality. And so it's up to us and our generation the people alive now and watching this video to start to uproot that belief that in essence we start to try to play God. That we are not designed to do this alone, and we're not designed to do the heavy lifting, that we are designed to oscillate between the feminine and the masculine energy that's put in us. We are creators, right? And that does not mean sitting on the couch and thinking happy thoughts and, there are no weeds, there's no weeds, no weeds, no weeds. That doesn't work, right? We've talked about that. But it does also mean that we have to do some work, right? We have to have an appropriate level of balance in between that masculine doing and the feminine receiving. And so this is a new mode of living, relatively speaking. Certainly there have been people that have come before me that have known this longer than I did, but it has been part of my recent learning. Like I mentioned in a video or two ago that November was a big month for pushing. And to some degree, some of that needed to happen, but there wasn't enough balance in that, right? And so what did that lead to? That led to overwhelm, that led to exhaustion and depletion, that led to frustration, that led to not being the best for my kids, and it led to a subpar result in the project that I was working on. And so when we are not able to set down or to put down or set aside this belief that life has to be hard, that I have to work hard, that I have to struggle, or that somehow there's like brownie points in the suffering, that doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve the people around us. Certainly it doesn't serve us emotionally or physically, and it doesn't necessarily accomplish the goal. Yeah, you might feel like you got some things done, and you probably did get a fair amount done, but I bet you weren't fully effective in achieving the true outcome that you had desired. And so when we're not able to acknowledge that there needs to be that balance between giving and receiving, doing and allowing, then we are going to it's a form of resistance. It's like hitting a brick wall, right? We're going to come up against this feeling of frustration and depletion because, again, we are not designed to do it all. Co-creation means only partially are you doing the work, right? That we need to allow God and the divine to come in and to do the heavy lifting for us, that we put forth our intention, we set our goals, we sit and we receive the guidance on how to go about that. I mean, you'll find me doing this a lot because I'm emulating the energetic flow of that torus field around us that comes out of our heart and out of our body and moves around us. Because when we're in that resistance and we're in that pushing mode, that struggle and that effort, we're efforting, we are creating resistance. So we're constricting, we're holding on to the energy, we're creating blocks, and we're not allowing the flow that will bring back around so that we can receive the other portion of the effort that is necessary to get us to where we're trying to go. And so another important aspect of this is there can be an addiction to the struggle, an addiction to working hard, an addiction to effort, right? That we feel like somehow our worth is tied up in how hard we try or how much work we put in or how much time we spend. There literally we're developing these dendrites in the brain that it's a thought pattern, right? A neural pathway where the stronger that neural pathway gets, the more we repeat it, the more it becomes our reality. That in essence is a habit or an addiction, right? We're addicted to that thought pattern, but there can also be an emotional addiction, which is our creation energy, right? So we have the thought, the brain has to mimic the image in chemistry, and it sends that flood of chemistry throughout our body, creating our emotions, creating our output, creating our vibration, creating our reality, right? And so we can have an addiction to the energy or an addiction to the emotion, where it's an emotional habit, where we have so frequently gone to that place of effort and struggle and pushing and resistance unconsciously that just becomes our go-to. We do it habitually. It is an addiction, right? Another form of the addiction to struggle can be that I am depressed, or I am suppressed, or I am repressed, or I am in some way a victim, right? That I am so used to getting my validation through talking about my problems or getting people to feel sorry for me. And I don't want to point fingers or make you feel bad, but it is a habit, and it's a very, very detrimental habit to you and to the people around you, because you're shedding or you're sharing that negative energy, and you're perpetuating the history, the story that you continue to tell, and you're preventing yourself from getting from where you are to where you want to go. So we need to be really, really aware of the addiction that can happen mentally, emotionally, physically, certainly energetically, to struggle, to working hard, and to oppression. And when we are ready, when we are truly, truly ready to put down the boulder on our back, to put down the belief that our value is tied to the amount of effort that we put in, then we can start to make some progress. And when we're really, really ready to surrender and say, I can't do it all, right? We have to push the ego aside and say, we're not solely in charge of driving the ship, that we have to surrender and believe that it's only 50%, right? And percentages may give or take. I haven't talked to God directly on that one yet. Not that I do. Anywho, I'm off on a tangent. So you understand what I'm saying. It's not all you. It's never going to be all you. And every time that we believe that it is solely up to us, we're going to struggle. And so we have to be humble enough to put down the reins and say, I need some help on this. And willing enough to recognize our addictions to struggle and our pain body's habit of believing that it has to hurt to be worthy or to be valid. And so it's time to put down the struggler's identity and time to rest. And the beauty is, the solution is joy, bliss, fun, napping, taking a walk, doing the things that you love, like cultivating that high vibration that's going to come from following your bliss. And so it's the best solution I could think of, and it's so much easier than always being in pain and always hurting and struggling and resisting. So be aware of the tendency and notice when that tendency to overwork or to push harder comes up, because, it's almost Christmas 2021. We've got just past the eclipses, approaching a full moon, a couple other major aspects approaching. The pressure certainly can be overwhelming if we're not aware of what's going on. And so all we need to do is just notice, right? Because awareness shines a light on a challenge or an opportunity, because this really is a gift. And so when we can bring awareness to, hey, I feel like I'm pushing right now. Hey, I feel overwhelmed and I'm not listening to my needs. That's just an indication that you have a need that needs to be met, and it needs to be met by you. That we need to wave our white flag of surrender and say, enough is enough. I've reached my limit at this moment. I am overwhelmed. The to-do list will not go anywhere. Nobody will die. You might have an extra dust bunny or an unwrapped present, but it does not matter. Your highest priority has to be self-love and self-care. And when you're able to put yourself first, then you can help everybody else. And that has to be the most important, that you show up for yourself and don't self-abandon so that you can show up for everybody else. So no more struggle. No more kicking yourself. No more saying, I should have done better. I should have tried harder. No more. No more harshness. No more negativity. No more bootstrapping. No more tough luck buttercup. We're done. It's time to listen to yourself and to nurture yourself and to meet your own needs. So let me know if you need any help with that. Sometimes we need that mirror to help us see that we haven't quite acknowledged or integrated that. And so I am always here for you, and you know where to find me. And I will see you very soon. Sending much love, my friends. Namaste.